good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Stefan, and tonight I'm going to be talking about and celebrating one of rap's beloved lyrical MVPs and greatest of all time, the late, great Earl Simmons, which is DMX. So sit back and enjoy yourself on this musical tribute to DMX. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. Welcome back to my channel if you're a returning subscriber. Also, don't forget to turn on your notification for new videos. So, here we go. Rest in paradise to the dog, one of the greatest lyricists and rough riders to ever bless his presence on the mic and came straight out of the East Coast. Before we do that, let's take a moment of silence to remember a great man. I still can't believe that it's been a year since the dog went home to join God's heavenly choir. This man always been one of my all-time favorite rap lyricists ever. There is no words that how much his presence on earth during these years meant so much to the people he touched throughout his music and his faith with God. Last year at this time, I was at home chilling, listening to some old school classics, and then my phone started blowing up with multiple notifications from everywhere. At first, I didn't believe it because the news and websites are always lying about different things. And then I remember watching something on BET and it got interrupted by the breaking headline of the breaking news saying that DMX dead at 50. The TV, the radio, and the internet were flooded by the news of his passing. An hour later, that's when the pain started to hit me inside. Numerous celebrities and fans flooded the internet with their own tributes. The world stood quiet as we mourned the loss of one of the greatest who ever blessed the mic, giving the world inspiration and faith. Even though he had his own battles and personal demons he was fighting, there was no denying that he touched so many throughout his music. And you would pray so many people felt that. Throughout his nearly three-decade career, DMX came to embody passion, rawness, and pure emotional honesty like few hip-hop artists ever have, walking his way through hits like Rough Riders Anthem, Get At Me Dog, and then one moment repenting and philosophizing on tracks like Slippin' the next. His style was decidedly an anti-commercial approach, but it worked. And it made him the genre's first superstar and the new savior of New York in the wake of the murders of Tupac and Biggie. To this day, few have been able to reach the heights that he did. He's the only rapper to have his first 5 studio albums debuted at #1. And he was the first living hip-hop artist to have 2 hip-hop projects to go platinum in the same year. DMX is one of the greatest hip-hop artists ever with his outstanding legacy. Speaking one of the influential rappers from the 1990s to nowadays. During his brilliant career, which started in the early 90s, the Yonkers bred rapper released more than 8 albums. Most of them were already certified platinum. He gifted the world with classics that will echo in eternity, the same as Tupac. He became a big name in the movie industry as well, putting his names next to heavyweights in the movie business. One of the coolest and most powerful voices ever. Rewatching a lot of his videos that before and after his passing, that I could remember the powerful feeling the first time I saw and heard these songs. I felt like God sent one of his vessels to share his gift and powerful voice and presence with the earth. DMX possessed a voice like no other. His delivery was deep, frantic, and harsh, with a coin intensity that made his songs into classics. The road to DMX becoming a household name started with him and the Deans grinding it out in New York in the early 1990s, a time where the East Coast, where the epic center of hip-hop and competition was steep. Rough Riders became a powerful hip-hop powerhouse by the turn of the 21st century, thanks to Axe and label mates Eve Locks and they in-house producer and the Dean's nephew Twitch Beast. Like, he stole the show while rocking a ski mask on LL's Cool J infamous 4321 posse cut, and on May's 24 Hours to Live, he rapped like someone who may actually become that short. But when he appeared on A Lock's Money, Power, and Respect, he made it clear that even if he didn't have the first two, he deserved the latter. I don't remember where I heard when I was the first time I heard the Lock's Money and Money, Power, and Respect, but I remember the feeling. The song was good. It was that classic hard New York shit. All of them rapping just behind the beat, just coming up with cool little catchphrases. It had strings and pianos and little Kim on the hook. And then it had the end, and a dog barks and a new voice comes in, harsh, Harley, gruff, shadowily, where he starts off the verse like, first like, this is a beat that I can freak. He announced, then he freaks it. A voice growling, bawling for maybe 20 seconds, then something changed. The voice became more angry and more defiant and starts just talking some wild shit like this, like, in his voice, like, think this ain't a fucking game? Do you think I'm playing? Till you land somewhere in the junkyard decaying, mom's at home praying, you coming home but you're not. You sitting up in the trunk starting to rock, and hell is hot. And hell is hot because I'm here now, baby. It's going down, baby. Keep the 4 pound, baby. Hearing that made me feel like I had electricity in my blood. DMX showed up exactly at the right time, and he immediately became a figure of instant fascination and expectation. With his Def Jam contract in place, he went on a historical run, just annihilating other rappers on posse cuts. He arrived at the peak at the stupid shiny suit era, the time that it was Chic's glimpse of Puff Daddy's bad boy empire that dominated both rap and pop to an extent that we haven't saw before. But when it's dark and hell is hot dropped on May 19th, 1998, that album became an instant classic. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Then a few months later, his second album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, came out later that year. Also debuting at number 1, making DMX the second rapper to have 2 albums debut at number 1 in the same year after Tupac in 96. Like, it's one of my all-time favorite rap classic debuts ever. Like, the history continues with Then It Was X, The Great Depression, Great Grand Champ debuting at number 1, making him the first artist to debut an album at number 1 5 times in a row on the Billboard 200. Like, no one ever did that before. Like, his music often a honest reflection of his personal struggles, containing themes of religion, violence, and redemption. DMX raps the richest story, define a generation while birthing a hip-hop superstar. He might have lived in the dark, but he once said that to live is to suffer, but to survive. Well, that's the meaning, to find the meaning in the suffering. In the suffering that he shone the brightest. His message of triumph over struggle, his search for the light out of darkness, his pursuit of truth and grace brought us to our own humanity. DMX is an icon, is a legendary figure. Like, there is so much you can say about him. DMX was the first for me to speak so openly about his struggles and break it down in such a human way. In terms of music, it truly reflected his life in such an artistic manner. Like, you don't hear that type of honesty from rappers as much as you do from him. For me, DMX was somebody who was unapologetic in who he was. It influenced my mindset, and I'm sure it did others too. Like, nothing can faze him. And in terms of his music, it truly reflected his life in such an artistic manner. Like, he had this, it's something that I admired and embodied in myself. Like, he had this aura that lets him present himself raw and uncut. When you hear his music, his content, his dilemmas, the energy that he brings to his songs, it gets you excited and it makes you break down at the same time. Like, besides his music, the number one quality that I always loved about him was his strong relationship and faith with God. Every album he did, he always ended with a prayer which said out loud what kind of man he was. What the kind of man he was. Yes, he was hardcore from the streets, but also a man of God. DMX has such a deep connection, not just towards God and Christianity, but the Bible itself. At all of the ugliness as well as the holiness, the Old Testament levels of tragedy, I think he tapped into that as much as he did into resurrection and forgiveness inspired by the New Testament. Many of his fans credit DMX's faithful character as the reason why why he was so humble and true to himself. He wasn't the type to cash in and make hits with no purpose. He always tried to do something greater for the community. Unfortunately, like, hip hop has a negative mindset, and these are in the eyes and so many of its in many terms of its content. And that's where I think DMX became a trailblazer. He was able to be vulnerable with his life on the streets and his life with God. It opened the door to keeping the balance and bridging the gap between hip hop artists and the skeptics. While many focus on DMX pioneering ways and humble heart, while reflecting on his legacy, like, critics also brought up his darker past. Like, it's sad. It's sad to see that people like to focus on the negatives when a person dies. To me, it's so sad and disrespectful when people talk about his drug addiction like they know exactly how it happened. I don't think it's my place to cast stones, nor theirs. With tragedy comes publicity. It gives so many people the chance to recognize who DMX truly was and the power he wielded. I think that a lot of people don't realize about DMX until his passing how much a difference he made in the industry. He was the first artist to have 5 of his albums to go #1 consecutively. No one else did that. He created his own lane, filled a void in the rap game. DMX should be remembered as one of the best to ever do it. Even though 2020 was definitely a horrible year dealing with this horrible pandemic, Versus was our club quarantine thanks to DMX, Timberland, and DJ Nice. One of my all-time favorite Versus performances ever was with X and Snoop Dogg. That one was worth the time, the energy, and it was an amazing show. Like, both dogs having wonderful classic musical catalogs between them, just entertaining and performing us with their hits. We were all happy to see both of them, especially X. He was gaining some weight, just smiling, just enjoying the love everybody was giving during the show, just looking healthy, in my opinion. Just seeing him perform was the biggest moment of the night. And then a few weeks later, he announced he was making a new album, which was called Exodus. I was so excited. When Exodus dropped after his passing, it was a great album, and there was a few joints that I like and was feeling, like the Bath Sauce with Jay-Z and Nas, That's My Dog with Swiss and the Locks, etc. Like, his expected death at 50 years old started reflecting on his legacy and focus on the work he created, as well the struggles that he faced. DMX is one of the greatest hip-hop heroes. Unlike in comic books, real-life heroes are complicated. He was more than just an iconic lyricist. He was a father, a friend, a brother, a man of God, a special rap cultural icon worldwide. DMX actually was a legend. You can illustrate his legacy in so many ways. The world lost an an irreplaceable soul, spirit, and energy when he passed. Like, we're forever grateful and for his impact that he made on a team within range. May his music and legacy far outweigh the demons carried throughout his life. So much energy like no other. One of the hip-hop greats. He is greatly missed but never forgotten. Thank you for enjoying this musical tribute with me throughout the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video. Subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to turn on your notification for new videos. Like I said, let's always celebrate our legends while they're still alive. Always give them their flowers, their respect, and recognition. Stay safe and blessed. Have a good night. I'm out. Peace.